Cuckoo guys, Tatiana Spiteri of Blogovision is here with you again. Today we have had a preview of the first semi-final. Woohoo! All the media, including ours, had a chance to see all the performances as they're going to be tomorrow, and I cannot wait to tell you my thoughts about it. Who has stepped up their game, who has decreased their chances to qualify, who is a 100% sure qualifier and doesn't even need to be talked about. But let's talk about it anyway. Let's go. So first on stage was of course Iceland and Vibe. Yeah, I mean we expected some kind of boat from the pictures that we saw in the official, Eurovision gallery, and yeah, there was a boat. I thought they would come out with the boat and then step out of it or something, but the boat was like an element in the second half of the performance, and inside the boat they had this like funny ripple effect, appearing and disappearing, dancers and vocalists. It was quite funny, I must say. I mean, I understand why the postcard that we saw before the performance was of this kind of not roller coasters, but like children's theme park. It all makes sense, kind of junior feeling Eurovision song and a theme park just for kids. I'm sorry for the parallel, but that's how it felt. The whole performance was sleek, was nice, was well made. The vocals were on point. I mean, kudos to the guys. They are good vocalists. I just didn't feel that it was like something that people would be voting for. I didn't feel it, and I still don't feel it. The ending, though, I must say, was much stronger. I like how effective the ending was. They were like doing this violin part, and then the almost a cappella ending it was, that part I liked. I must say I enjoyed it. And then there was this part with some it was just a visual on the floor, right, of probably dancers swimming as if in the sea under them, and that looked quite unusual, quite fun. These floor effects are often used in Eurovision, but not always in the right way. Like, I never understood why Marina said last year's performance from Greece, there was this kind of industrial construction under her. It didn't add up to the performance. It actually took away from it. In this particular case, I think it adds to the performance because the whole concept of the boat and the sea and Iceland, the seas nearby. It was fun. It was just fun. I have nothing else to say. I do not see it in the final. I didn't, and I still don't. So let us move to our next country. That was Poland, Justina. Like, there wasn't much difference between this performance and the national selection, and I thought a lot of it was in the red colors. That's the problem of the whole semifinal. I don't know what happened with light makers. Like, most of the performances were in color red, were like, I mean, the strobe lights were all red, red, red. It felt like we are in some kind of, not even sauna, hellish sauna, if you know what I mean. She actually like sounded good at the beginning. Justina sounded strong. I like how she opened it at the beginning, like it was all very, very, very high level. Somehow closer to the end, I felt it was a little bit less effective than in the national selection. Like, the final parts with her like taking the high notes, and like it felt a little bit underwhelming. I don't know. Like, tell me, guys, when you watch it on Tuesday night, but it felt a little bit less wow, than in the national selection, despite the amount of fire that there was. I'm looking at my notes, fire, fire, fire. Yeah. But, like, did it make it more or less effective? I mean, the fires definitely add up to the whole feel. But I think the performance is much more about this, like floating, flying kind of, not so much on the fiery side, but I would picture it more in this blue and black kind of colors, like in the national selection. So I don't know, like, did they really need to use the fire in this case, or could they have done without? The gym exercises that she does are all the same, I call it gym because they really look like gym, all of this, you know, and floor exercises. Like, and after the first chorus, when she does a lot of that gym stuff, the second verse started off quite shaky. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. I wouldn't want her to, have some votes taken away from her because she was a little bit maybe out of breath or something. Like, the note that she, goes on forever, like, she does that perfectly. There is nothing to be, even commented on. She does that brilliantly. But the very last part, the very last like 10, 15 seconds, for me, something was missing, something was missing. And I think one thing that made it feel like that was the camera angles, because the camera angles on many performances were not the best, not as good and sleek as in the national selections. And I think there is still time to correct that. Obviously, tonight was not the final version. There is also dress rehearsal tomorrow afternoon, and then there is the actual semi-final in the evening. But for now, there is some work to be done, definitely. The vocals in the semi-final were so stripped, so like exposed, like you were like naked on stage. And when the vocalists will be, rewatching their performances tonight, they will be like, "OMG, oh my God, is that how naked my voice sounds on stage?" Like the music was not loud enough, and the sound of the voice like was so, really so exposed that every little imperfection, tiniest bit, like left or right, and we could hear it, and it like hurt our ears, and it hurt a lot on some of the performances. Yeah. So let us move on to Slovenia, Klemen. Like, I mean, there isn't much to hold on to, guys. Yeah, there is this kind of starry or whatever you call it background, and they still hold him upside down at some point. At the end, he is kissing his wife. I believe it's his wife who comes up on stage and he gives her that kiss. The photographs of his wife are on the back during the performance. And yet, it doesn't like, I don't know, there isn't much to hold on to, really. Like, it's even hard to keep watching for 3 minutes without like just voluntarily, like, I don't know, like taking your eyes away, like thinking about something else. I caught myself thinking about something, doing something else. Like I couldn't even concentrate, I couldn't even focus, like it was hard to keep my eyes steady on Slovenian performance. So I do not see it qualifying. Yeah, Starry Night, nice effect, ending was nice, as I said, but yeah. Next one. Let us move on to Estonia and Mi Amore. Mi Amore. Was Tommy Cash better vocally? Well, better than in the national selection, that I have to say. I think he has been improving vocally all this time, and even in the pre-parties it showed, especially in the last pre-party. I thought he sounded better, although some original track was put on top of that. But even with the stripped down, exposed vocals, I think you have to admit that his vocals became just a little bit better. He will not become Red Sebastian overnight, of course not, or ever. Yeah, but for if we are talking about the vocal improvement, since February, since Estilaul, there definitely has been some. The fact that there is this frame saying Tommy Cash and the winner's cafe behind him, because he always says, "I'm a winner of Eurovision," yeah. Although in the turquoise carpet he said, "I wish." So next is probably "I hope." So that winners club and the frame Tommy Cash, I like that. That's smart. That looked very good. The frame appeared not only on his performance, obviously the stage frame, but on his performance it gave him this extra class. I thought it gave it this feel that we're really in a cafe, maybe. Yeah, I expected more on the side of the coffee slash espresso, something to show the viewers that obviously he's singing espresso macchiato and it's like obvious, but I would have included something in the background visuals. I would have added some, like he did in some of the national, was it in the pre-parties, some kind of espresso or beans on the background. That would have worked. There was one part when he's lying on the ground on a, on a heap of beans, so to say, not real beans, obviously just the floor visuals. People were cheering a lot for that take. I don't know if that's really so effective. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Iceland with the swimming dancers under them were more effective in that sense, I think. And Hollywood sign behind him, obviously, that Tommy has always wanted to be popular in the West as much as in the East. He calls himself Kanye East, but he obviously wants to be like Kanye West. And also, yeah, we have to talk about that. The girl attacker, there will be this kind of simulated kind of stage intruder, which looks so funny. And at the beginning, you're like, what the hell? But then you quickly understand because that's Tommy Cash. He likes to surprise, to shock, to provoke. He likes something, surprising. Otherwise, the performance would have been totally the same as in the national selection. And we wanted something else, and we got something else. At the beginning, the very first few seconds, I'm sure that the TV viewers and the usual casual, Eurovision viewers will be like, huh? What is happening? Why is some girl jumping on the stage? But then she starts dancing together with him. It's like security take her away. That's all part of the staging, and that's a smart part. That's a smart part. Definitely something to remember after the semifinal. The plane, which is on the back of Tommy Cash, is jumping at some point, and you're like, interesting. Why a jumping plane? Well, I mean, yeah, why not? On the other hand, why not? In Tommy Cash's world, anything is possible. But still, vocally, of course, we'll have to admit, this is not going to be jury's first vote and second and third and 10th. I think jury are going to be Tommy Cash, whether we would like that or not. Next up is there was the first act of the Big Five plus Switzerland. That was Spain and Melody. I like that she appeared in this black, huge, outfit, and then she's kind of coming out of the curtains, like in a theater or something. I don't know. And I felt like this, cheering and everything increased once she appeared from out of the curtains, because probably the viewers in the arena do not see her until she is out of this curtain. Overall, the performance was great. It was better sounding melody, definitely, than in some previous appearances. And the revamped version sounds so much better, especially in the verses. The whole performance, unfortunately, is too dark. I mean, the national selection, yeah, I remember it as gray, shiny. And then I remember this pedestal. The pedestal was gone this time. There is no pedestal there. And no, of course, hurricane. No, that is not happening. Uragan is not going to happen. However, I do like that they put those stairs where she's on top of the stairs, and yeah, like the fire showers that accompany her at the end. They're also quite effective. I thought, they catch our attention. And of course, the ending where she's rotated 360 degrees. Woo! The dancer almost let her drop all the way to the floor. I hope that is not going to happen on Tuesday night. Let us move on to our next Ukraine, and that was Zifferblatt. I thought, first of all, it was too much pink on pink. It was like too much. The pink outfit on the pink background, something like the other performances were too red, and this one was just too pink. They have to rethink a little bit. Although I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna. But I would rethink. I would think twice before doing pink on pink. Pink outfit on the pink background. The vocals this time were weaker. The vocalist sounded weaker than the girls helping him as a backing vocalist or part of the band. Yeah. And the ending effect for me, kind of the ending effects of the song, like how it ended, was a little bit like unclear, what they wanted to deliver like that. The faces are a little bit blurry. I don't know why, but they chose this effect that we'll see their faces a little bit blurred. Are you trying to represent like fluffy birds or something? Maybe. But somehow to me, very little was about birds, ptashkas and stuff. In this case, it was just a little bit like, how does Red Sebastian say? Cotton candy haze. Yes, exactly. Pink cotton candy haze. That's what I thought. So I still don't know. I said in my previous video that for me it's borderline qualifier or non-qualifier. It could easily also be a non-qualifier. It could be a qualifier because there are so many Ukrainian fans voting from all European countries, obviously, but it could also easily not qualify because neither vocally nor stage-wise I was happy with the final number. Let us move on then to the next one, that is Sweden. Right after that, we've got Barabada Bastu Bastu. Like, again, what's with the red? Red all over the place. I mean, it really felt like you're in a sauna, which is so hot that you're all burning and your skin is gonna peel off or something. Like, yeah. Overall, it was similar to the national selection. There isn't much to talk about. I liked when they were coming out to public. There is this part where they step off this, let's say, sauna staging and start coming closer to the public. They become more intimate. They are more in unison with the public. That was lovely. The choreography, by the way, guys, you have been training for so long. Like, it's not difficult dance moves, and yet some of them are still not in sync with the others. Like the three vocalists sometimes do not move exactly at the same time in the right direction. So that was a little bit funny to watch. But I think it adds just kind of this comic charm to the whole number. Nothing too bad. The ending with the scream sauna, yeah, that was strong. That was always strong, and it's still gonna be strong. I would just work on a little bit, a little bit on the synchronization of dance moves moves, and probably they were just too nervous, and that became more like a ripple effect rather than a synchronized movement. Next, we had Portugal and Napa. Well, as I like to say, if you want to take a Napa, take a Napa. You know, it was still sleepy. However, I have to say it looked better than in the national selection for sure. It had great lighting for once. I will tell you guys who had great lighting in this semifinal, and that is Portugal. Obviously, after Sweden, many of us will be like, ah, whatever, like we need a break, we need to catch our breath after Barabasto. By the way, how is my sauna doing over there? But this one still in terms of like sleek, lighting, very nice camera angles. I thought it looked nice. It didn't look good enough to qualify for me. But after Sweden, almost anybody wouldn't look good enough, except maybe for JJ of Austria, or who else could that be? Finland, Erika, or Malta. Yeah, so let's go to next one. That was Norway. Oh my God, poor Kyle. So let's start with him losing his voice recently, and then his wisdom tooth being removed. He tried his best. I really will say that he tried his best, what he could do, but you could hear that it was way worse, way weaker than in the national selection. And the whole feel from the performance, I think, was less, it was like less strong than the national selection in Norway. I don't know, like there was lots of fire as it was expected, and there were a couple of good notes actually he took, like set it all on fire. Wow, that was very well done, you'll see, guys. And some parts he still cannot, and they sound even worse than they did in pre-parties, like this I don't need saving, the saving part. Oof, he struggles with it a lot, and I feel like every time that he doesn't hit the right note, jury will be taking off a lot of points and pulling him down. So this is not a jury song. I believe it will be in the final, but it's not the jury song, obviously, and it's not the jury type of quality vocals. So I expect, just like with Tommy Cash, jury will bury it quite a lot. What else did I note to myself? Yeah, the jumping part, the part where he like hits his hand, on the floor. That one was a nice take. I think they can even make it more standing out than it already is. Really, it was very nice to see. And yeah, the long note that he finally has like to put all his strength into in the bridge. This one was good. I put a thumbs up in my notes. So Kyle almost cried at the end of his performance. I saw him like so unhappy with how it all went. On the one hand, dance part was great, but you know what? Dance part, the camera screwed it up. The camera angles were not how they were supposed to be. I do not see that these camera angles are helping his dance stand out there. Practically, he is swallowing it. We wanted dancing, and we got like only some kind of pom pom pom, and it's hard to see the whole choreo. It's hard to see, like close further takes, because the cameras, I think, were kind of jumpy and unnecessarily, you know unnecessarily shaky, and I don't know, earthquakey, let's call it this way. Next in line is Belgium. And Red Sebastian, I will tell you guys what I think. I think I have to raise my stakes. I have to raise my, I don't know, betting odds on Red Sebastian. I already said that he's going to be in the final. Now I think he's going to be a top 10. He is top 10 material in the grand final. I think jury will love it. I think people will love it. Oh my God, it's like he came out and he showed everybody who performed before him, maybe for the exception of Justina, how it should be done, how the vocals are done. He's the honorable student of Gustav of Belgium, yeah, because of you. And he's showing that because of Gustav and the other teachers that he is studying with, like his vocals are so wow. The whole performance was, yeah, it is inspired by Alice in Wonderland. He is meeting his double. All the dancers are like the copies of him, the doppelganger. So how do you say that? Like, and they, at some point, he's looking at himself, like I think there is a reflection on the floor, and he's looking as if in the mirror, and like, who is a real Sebastian, who isn't? Oh wow, they made it like so fun. I'm happy they got rid of that platform. He didn't need that platform anymore. Now the performance came to life. It became so much livelier than it was before. And I think it's amazing. Like a great snippet in the recap as well. When you watch the recap, it's like Kyle is getting lost, and Red Sebastian will be standing out like so much, so much. So I think, if not even the TV viewers, obviously they'll let him through to the final, but I think the jury for sure should give it a top 10. I think people should give it somewhere maybe closing the top 10, beginning maybe 11th, 12th. But I think as a result, our guy Sebastian should make it to the top 10 winners of Eurovision this year. Next, we had another big five country, that is Italy and Lucio Corsi. I mean, it looks similar to the national part to Sanremo, and it's a very much jury song. The new part here was that we could see not only him playing the piano, but also the guitarist next to him, well, a bit further from him, but we could see them both from the beginning of the performance. I don't know whether that's good or not, because I think if they just showed him for the first half of the performance and then added the guitarist, that would have given us more intimate feel. Right now, when we see another guitarist, the whole performance was much more on the rock side, I thought, much more on the rock side than on this like personal intimate story that he's telling us. Interestingly, we saw the lyrics in English on this one, but not on the other performances, which were in the original national languages of the country. I don't know. Why was it only on Italy? Somebody explained to me. And at the end, he's taking this, harmonica, and he's playing harmonica live. There are no live instruments in Eurovision, but Lucio is going to play something live, and that is harmonica. I am not a fan of harmonica myself. Like, maybe some of you love it, maybe you will appreciate it. Myself, I didn't think like it was really, really necessary. But overall, I mean, not bad. Quite a strong performance. I mean, it was quite a change from Belgium's Red Sebastian. And then we're going to, again, this kind of jumpy, happy Azerbaijan. And in between, we have this sad, kind of bullying related song by Lucio Corsi. Let's go to Azerbaijan. The next performer was Azerbaijan. I liked the multiplication of the dancers on the back, and it felt like we have so many people when in reality it's obviously just the band and a couple of dancers, I think there were. Camera angles myself, I mean, I liked and I didn't like at the same time. I liked that there were a lot of close takes, and they were kind of also like going from one to the other. I think like swiping from one to the other. Nothing unusual in Eurovision, but still. On the other hand, maybe I would have preferred that there were also more takes, like, further from the arena, like to give us this feel of like, hey, we're in an arena with, I don't know, Muse or Justin Timberlake or something, like happening on stage. I think they made it look too close, like the close ups are all the time, and it feels like, maybe on Lucio Corsi they would have been more necessary than on Azerbaijani performance. Again, so much red color. I was not a fan. Speaking of vocals, I mean, I'm not like against the vocals. Obviously, he's doing a great job, the vocalist, yeah, of Azerbaijani Mama Gama. But at the same time, some of the high pitches to me sounded a little bit too squeaky, maybe for me. I don't know, And obviously, the music video version, the studio version, sounds somehow musically stronger, vocally stronger, than what we saw just now. But overall, vocally, they did, a great job, I thought. And yeah, at the end, there was this high note to finish the performance, and it felt kind of unnecessary, or very unnecessary, because after that, it's like we were hanging in the air, like, is the performance finished? No? Is there something else? Is that like a pause? I was a little bit taken aback, and I felt like something has to continue after that note, but no, apparently he should have taken a different intonation so that we understand that that's the ultimate, that that's the climax. I didn't have that feeling. So the ending was very abrupt for me, at least. And moving on to San Marino, Gabri Ponte. You know what, guys? The more I see this, the more I feel now that Gabri is qualifying. He was my borderline in the prediction video, and now I feel that he's more on the qualifying side, because finally he listened to what everybody was asking from him. Do focus on the singers. Do not only show the lip syncing of Gabri, who, by the way, says a few words during the performance, something like a DJ would normally say, which is nice. We can see him speaking as well, or like screaming or something. But finally, we could see the singers. The singers were not somewhere, God knows where, There were quite a lot of camera takes of just the singers, yes, in the masks, but not covering the whole face. And they were not like standing all the way, like very, very statuesque. They were actually moving a little bit. Their faces were a little bit more alive. So I like that. Plus, they added an accordion player. They added a tambourine player. And with all of that happening, I felt a little bit like, hey ho, let's go. Folklore and rock and roll. What else do you want from Gabri Ponte, guys? So I thought this deserves to qualify. The statues. Oh my God! Behind him there were these statues, Italian probably, like sculptures, traditional, historical. seen in Florence kind of museum sculptures. And they were doing some funny stuff with them, like, a sculpture chewing a bubble gum, Apollo, whatever that was. That was hilarious. That was fun. I don't know how much it was connected to the song, but the song is about Italy, right? And a big part of Italy is obviously, the religion, the gods, the statues, and I think that kind of that worked. That worked. Good luck, Gabri. I think you can qualify. Next, we had Albania, and what did I think of our Zierm? Lots of fire in this performance. I didn't expect maybe so much, although we saw some pictures before. The close camera takes were nice, like especially they showed her, dancing, moving her hands. She likes to do all kinds of movements, and obviously they, Eurovision team and her own team, Albanian team, decided to pay special attention to her moves. This separation was shown very strongly in colors as well between the two singers, and the other one was standing still, like a statue, exactly. So nothing much has changed in terms of the male singer's role in this, except he also beats on like a drum or something. I wish, that there was a little bit. I don't know. For me, the part with the male singer maybe takes away a little bit of the magic of the whole performance. But vocally, it was great. I mean, good vocals, nothing much to add to that. There has never been a problem with Albanian vocals. I think it should qualify. Obviously, I do. Can it be a shocker non-qualifier? It might. Yeah, I hope not, but it might. However, vocally there is nothing much to discuss. It's a great performance. Let's move on to the Netherlands and La 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 Vie. Now, a lot of close frames. This one we didn't know what to expect, right? Because he never really appeared much. He did appear in one of the pre-parties, but he didn't want to be recorded. Yeah, or put out, or commented on YouTube. So we did not really see much of the pre-parties and his appearances. And what did we see now? It's a lot of close takes, a lot of close-ups, a bit imperfect vocals, let's be honest. Yes, even though at the beginning he's not dancing. He's not dancing, he's standing still. And some of it is fine, some of it feels a bit amateur. I would say, yeah, the problem is not that his voice is not good, his voice is great, but like it feels like we are looking at a bit like younger amateur singer, like Tommy Cash as well, like who still needs to be, well, I mean, I cannot compare to Tommy Cash, but I mean, it felt like he still needs several years of, very intensive vocal training, that for now he's not in full control, that he needs a little bit more stability, in his voice. The voice doesn't sound as clear as it should have after a lot of trainings. Well, he should call Red Sebastian and Gustav. They will help him do that. Again, too much red, too much red. Color red is really killing a lot of the performers this time. Something behind him that was like roses slash, I don't know. At the beginning, I was like, is that popcorn? Then is that like roses? Is that roses which come out of popcorn? Like, what is happening? The backs at the end, the visuals were weird, very, very weird. I think, yeah, the part with the boy, there is this part with the boy, like in the music video, where he's like kind of talking, dancing to the boy, would have been more effective if his hands were free, if he could move his arms and everything and copy the movements of that boy in the video, but not really. They didn't do the same moves, and it didn't feel actually like it felt in the music video. There was quite a lot of dancing. There were this kind of chest moves and whatnot. But of course, every time he started moving more intensively, his vocals flopped a lot. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. Obviously, this is still a qualifier. Obviously, the song is amazing. Crowd was cheering, crowd was clapping, crowd was supporting. They all loved the song, they all loved the melody, but the melody would have done Claude's song better than Claude himself. Probably. Let us move on then to Croatia and Poison Cake. You know what, I mean, the start of the song is quite strong. How they put the performance, I didn't expect much, and probably because I didn't expect much, I got impressed. Good start, a lot of close ups, the voice, impressive. I wrote to myself, kudos for the voice, well done. He struggled a bit with breathing, unfortunately. Obviously, there is a lot of movement happening on stage, and it's just he's so young. He just barely won the national selection, being second in both jury and audience, as far as I remember. And now he's on Eurovision stage, and he sometimes says something that he then thinks, "Oh my God, like what have I done in the aftermath?" So he probably feels just like it's so big for him. The contest is just so big, the responsibility is so huge, and so he becomes just extremely nervous. It's a nerve-wracking experience, yeah. But as a vocalist overall, I must say he is quite a good vocalist. He's quite good. I'm not a fan of the fur coat that he's wearing all the time. Then he of course removes it. However, the long high notes, everything that has to do with the vocal part, I wrote myself, well done, very strong and very effective. Is this a qualifier? No, but I think we have to appreciate him for the effort and for what came out, what kind of poison cake he served us at the end. And next one that I wrote to myself, we had Switzerland. Yes, Switzerland, one of the automatic qualifiers was there as well. So oh my God, great staging. It was a little bit, yeah, like Salvador Sobral, like my friend said, and like it was so intimate. She was sitting on a chair, but we couldn't tell at first whether she's sitting or standing. Like it was just such a close camera take, and her hand movements, everything you could see, like every little finger moving. It was fantastic. The song is so intimate, the song is so personal, they made it look intimate. It's like, Switzerland is the host city, and they did it exactly how they should have, no questions asked. And I think we're looking at a top 15 in the grand final. I think jury will love it. I think people should also give it quite a few points, not like Nemo last year, but still quite a lot of points. Vocals, amazing. Gestures, lovely. The crowd, I think, will cheer so much once this is over, even though this is not a crowd song. This is not an average Eurovision arena song. People sitting, in the audience were probably like, or standing like, where is she? What is happening? Oh, there is that little figure sitting on a chair. But for the TV viewers, this is made for us. This is made for the TV viewers like us, and it works. It works. And then we had Cyprus closing the show. Theo, OMG, this was one of the biggest surprises for me, because we didn't know much what to expect. We knew he would be crawling, moving, but that he would be moving while the scaffolding were being turned by the dancers. Oh my God. And he is vocally even better, I would say, than in the music video. In the music video, what I didn't like is that the vocals took like the second place. They were a little bit distorted on the background a bit, and not in the focus. Here the vocals were really natural, really himself. And I felt like for once we could feel the singer. Like we could feel him, we could see his world. We could become part of this kind of game, reality, whatever TV it is. I bet it was not easy to move on the scaffolding constructions and sing at the same time. At some point, there was like a blackout screen, and we're like, what's happening? Hopefully, not going to happen exactly like, oh, maybe that's the plan, tomorrow in the actual semifinal. And then we see him like, being in a different spot, being again on the scaffolding, and then being off, being on. I don't know. It's just, there is so much interaction going on that it's fun to watch. Just like I said, in Slovenian performance, I could barely stand there for 3 minutes watching. In this one, I couldn't do anything else. My eyes were all eyes on us. And Theo did great. He did an amazing job. Vocally, there were a couple of flops, not absolutely perfect, but I loved his natural, actual voice. I loved Theo Evans and everything he represents. And when at the end he was smiling and just saying thank you, that was everything. I think amazing. Not that it was maybe the best type of staging the song could have had, but I think it's totally, giving him a lot more votes than many people thought. I think he is surely 100%, 1000% qualifying. And I think now with this staging and with these vocals, he will do, yeah, the left side of the scoreboard. Definitely a top 13, I would say, not less than that. I would give him, if I were jury, I would award him for the vocals plus the whole staging and the package, and the ability to control himself while doing all of these jumps and tricks, whatnot. If I were the casual viewer, I would probably have a crush on him because he's such a cutie patootie and can sing like that, and the song is quite catchy. Not maybe c'est la vie, la 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 vie catchy, but catchy. And so I expect the overall result to be amazing. So for Red Sebastian and for Definitely for yeah, I would say for Gabri Ponte and for Theo Evans, I am raising my stakes. I am raising my predictions at targets, if you wish. So this was my impression. The voting system was weird this time. Not the voting, sorry, the voting disclosing. Like this disclosure of the votes. When they said now we'll show three countries, and then tell you which one of these randomly kind of qualifies, not randomly qualifies, but like one of the three countries, this one qualifies, and these are still hanging, then another three countries, this one qualifies, and these two will tell you a little bit later. And then by the end, we still have six countries, of which only one will qualify. Like, why? The ending is still the same as it was before. Six countries, of which only one more place, like is left, and only one will be qualifying. Was it necessary to do like out of three? Or they're just trying to experiment and make it more exciting? I don't know. When you see it, guys, on TV, let me know what you think. I think it's just interesting because it's new, but does it really add to the excitement? Does it really make it sort of make us more thrilled about what's coming? Probably not, because I don't understand the concept, the principle on which they choose those three countries. But those are my thoughts. I don't want to keep you up all night. And very, very soon you will see the semifinal yourself and you will have your thoughts on it. So, this is what I wanted to share with you from the preview show. And I cannot wait to see who actually makes it to the grand final. In the dun, 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 in the afterlife, in the aftermath of semifinal.